Yeah, I believe. I don't believe in lucky sevens. I'm not sure about Loch Ness, but I know I believe in angels. I believe in happiness.
Good evening, everybody. It's so wonderful to see you. I am really, really excited to be connected this evening with an amazing person. He is here. He's going to tell you all about his life, how his life took a very abrupt change, and what is he doing about it. And it's just a phenomenal story. First, I would like to shout out to our sponsor before we bring up the man of the hour, which is Wayne Forrest, and we will get to him in just a moment. I have the very first sponsor. How many times have I said that? The very first sponsor, and they truly were. And I absolutely love their product. It is Pure Lift. Pure Lift is quite an interesting product. This is it here in my hand, and they're so easy. It's really just the length of a straw, but it's filled with, and they have coined the phrase and trademarked the phrase, clean caffeine. So clean caffeine from unroasted green coffee beans. And you know, anytime that you say coffee, and it's a caffeinated product, everybody thinks of that bitter taste of coffee. Now, I'm not dogging it because there's a lot of people out there that do enjoy the taste of a good cup of joe in the morning. I'm not one of them. I enjoy my caffeine. So as you've noticed throughout watching this program, I always have different items and none of them taste like coffee. So this one has a hint of stevia for a little bit of sweetness, vitamins A, and B complex, and it's unique and portable. And it truly is. This will pop into any average size purse, your gym bag, a backpack. It goes nicely in juice, soda, just about any beverage. And actually, I tested it. I pushed it out there to the limits with the very first episode that we were promoting Pure Lift because I had the creator and founder of Pure Lift connected with me. And he did a wonderful interview and gave us a great backstory. And I said, you know what? I'm going to do a taste test in liquor. I want to see what this tastes like if I take it out to the bar on a girls' night with me. And it was wonderful. It's like this one right here I was holding is orange. It's a hint of orange that it adds. And this one is totally unflavored. It's not bitter, nothing at all. Yes, I know, Ken. Thank you so much for joining the show. I love Pure Lift too. And you can purchase this at Best Buy, Home Depot, Amazon, or purelift.com. And that is spelled PURELYFT.com. So make sure that you go out there and you go get some, but not right now. I want you connected. Let me please have your eyeballs and your ears because you are going to be absolutely inspired. And the man of the hour, let me tell you a little bit about him before I bring him into the broadcast this evening. So he is Wayne Forrest, okay? He is a tetraplegic. I didn't know what a tetraplegic was in the beginning, and his story is amazing. He's going to tell you all about what did happen and where he is in his life. He's an international transformational speaker, life mastery consultant, certified by the Brave Thinking Institute of Los Angeles. In 1995, Wayne suffered a sporting accident, leaving him a C5 tetraplegic. He is a co-creator of CHB Swim for Lives nonprofit, which supports local schools in doing deep water programs and swimming lessons to help save lives from drowning. He is the award winner of, I'm sorry, I lost my place. The award winner of the organization with biggest impact on children of the year award. I'm going to ask him about that because I got a little confused in my writing here, and I apologize for that. Wayne shares his journey from the heart to enable others to believe that you too can build and live into your dreams and live a life you love, regardless of the challenges, struggles, or perceived disabilities they face. I love that, perceived disabilities. We're going to hear more about that. He shares a 17-minute story crafted for TEDxHastingsSt. Could be Hastings Street. I have not been linguistically with my linguistic inability today, but that's okay. He will also tell us about his TEDx performance and that project as a whole, about his journey of discovery after a sporting accident that has left himself in a wheelchair, called How Struggle Helps Us Grow. It's a privilege as a coach to be able to help others to discover their hidden abilities in themselves, says Wayne. And without any further ado, I'd love to bring to the broadcast Mr. Wayne Forrest. Good evening, Wayne. How are you?
Hi, Elizabeth. It's a pleasure to be here, mate.
Yes, absolutely. I already have somebody connected saying God has a plan for him. Oh, so he suffered a broken neck. So Ken Dodge is connected. He is he was a paramedic for many, many, many years. And I have to ask you, I've never heard of a tetraplegic. What is a C5 tetraplegic?
It's the same as a quadriplegic, Elizabeth. So tetraplegic, one's Latin and one's Greek, I think. It just means 4 limbs are affected by an injury. So quadriplegic or tetraplegic are exactly the same thing.
Interesting. I've got to ask you, do a lot of people ask you about that first, or do they focus on the really great things that you're doing in your life now?
It depends. It depends if people know me. Of course, they have got used to me. I've been in the wheelchair for 27 years nearly now. So most people know who I am around me. So, of course, they're asking about what I'm into next. But, of course, when someone first meets you, they want to know how you ended up in a wheelchair. And what happened, and those kind of things.
Well, and I hope that it doesn't get to be, the only word coming to my mind is annoying. I hope that it does not ever get to be to the place of annoying, and that's absolutely not where I'd want to go. But I am very curious, so I'm going to allow my curiosity to go there. Well, tell me, what was your life like at age 24?
Mate, I thought I had life sorted, as you do quite often at 24. I was soon to be married. I was about to have twin daughters. I was looking at running 2 businesses. I had a farming business that I just started. Also, I used to share sheep as a living. So I was sharing sheep, and I love my sport. I was involved in sporting clubs in my local area. So I was one of those people that was loved to party, loved to work hard and get right into life itself. I would say very very ego sort of a lifestyle, very physical, and that was prior to my accident. Yeah.
Wow. So then very quickly after that, at age 25, you had mentioned that's when you had a rugby accident that injured your neck, spinal column. What happened exactly?
Well, it was just a normal game. I played a lot of rugby prior to my accident, all through my life from the age of 5. I was very experienced. We had a few of our team members away or injured, and I was asked to lead my team on the day, and I found that a real honor. So it was just like any other day. Right in the last minutes of that game, I made a terrible mistake carrying the ball into contact with 2 of the opposition, and put myself in a position that put me in danger, and a lack of concentration probably put me in that position. and I rolled over on to my neck, and my head ended up under my shoulder, sort of in my armpit, which was enough pressure for me to dislocate it. I couldn't breathe straight away. I was conscious, and the pain felt like a dirty old hot poker that had been heated up in the fire, sort of been stabbed into the back of my neck. So it wasn't a very nice experience, you could say.
Oh my goodness. So, in explaining that, how long did you carry the weight of, how you explained that you put yourself in the wrong position, you went in to the play in the wrong way? How long did you carry that before you realized that you had to forgive yourself for those possible mistakes?
Good question, mate. It took a couple of years. I would say it probably took about 4 years, 4 or 5, to start to really let go of the mistakes I made, as well as the people that were around me. There was a lot of little things that created that accident. And so, yeah, it would have been a good 5 years for me to start to release and find forgiveness in myself and those around me.
This is a little bit of a personal question, but my mind is there. At 25 years old, you're severely injured, not knowing where this is going to take you into the future. Are your twins born yet at this time?
Yeah, they were 16 months. Yeah, and I'd been married about 9 months prior to their born, so at age 23. So I got that a little bit wrong at the beginning there. I was married at 24. So yeah, I had the twins and got married in the same year.
That's a heavy load. That's a lot of responsibility. Did you find yourself in any form of depression, or were your family, were they very supportive and helped you along the way?
There was a lot of shame that could have turned into depression. There was dark moments, definitely, where my marriage sadly didn't survive either. And to be fair, it was probably on the rocks anyway. It just really sped up the process a bit. But yeah, all of a sudden I was a different person. For someone who was out physically, I was always busy. I was a busy person. I was one of those people that could work all day physically and then go and run a half marathon if I wanted to, and all of a sudden, I couldn't move very well at all. So my wife found that very difficult as well. So yeah, there was definitely dark moments in that first 5 years where it would have been quite easy to go down that rabbit hole and allow those thoughts to create even more depression. But luckily, my family is sort of the family that always went on to the next thing. If something happened that wasn't so good, it was, oh, okay, that's happened. Now what? It was, yeah. So I had that built into me as well. So that was quite lucky that I had that upbringing. Or as I believe now, I don't believe in luck. It was obviously meant to be that way, so I could tell my story today.
Absolutely. That is a godsend to have that behind you, to have that as a part of your fabric, to say, you know what, so I fell down. I'm going to get up and dust myself off, and I'm going to find my way through this. Thank you for sharing that very intimate part of the beginning of your accident and what caused you to be in a wheelchair today. Now, I definitely want to share what a viewer has. He wants to send a message to you. It's Mr. Ken Dodge. Your injury wasn't in any way your fault. It made you into the spectacular individual you are today. So looking back, the injury could have been a gift that was unwanted, but part of a bigger plan. So immediately you're already touching viewers. And I find that so magical about you. Your TEDx project is absolutely just authentic and raw. And, of course you have to be a TEDx speaker. When did they contact you and say, would you share your story?
Well, it was around the other way, actually. I contacted the local TEDx guy that was creating the HastingsSt. You got it right the second time, the HastingsSt TEDx. So I contacted him and we had a cup of coffee, and he pretty much made me tell him what I was kind of thinking right there in the middle of a calf in front of everybody. And I was like, okay, whew, and yeah, he saw enough to say, yep, well, let's have a crack. And I learned a lot from that process, especially around telling stories and how, to start and the beginning and the middle and all that kind of stuff. It's a real interesting process if you're ever interested in talking and being a speaker. Yeah, it's a great process to learn a lot from.
I wrote a few things down. I actually watched it twice. And a lot of what you're saying is talking about being good enough. And, I find that to be a bit of a curse for some of us, to where somewhere, somehow along the way, we've picked up that stone of I'm not good enough. And you have to learn how to put that stone down, how to release that weight. But one thing that you said, the key is to learn to use our mind properly so that we can push past our limitations. That is a huge statement, and it's a powerful statement from you, because I think so many people that are blessed with mobility of our arms and our legs, we don't realize that that is a gift, and it's a very limited gift. Most of us lose one or both or all of those abilities by the time we come to the end of our life. But to see someone so young and so vibrant as yourself say those words, how did you get to that point of this is an ability, this is a positive thing, not a disability?
It's a great question, and I think there's different ways you can look at this. It was definitely the journey. It was my dark hours and because I pushed through those dark hours and was willing to be curious and ask different questions at the time of those dark moments, and look for the good and start to aim. This is where a vision comes in really important. I think that we all should have alignment with our higher power. And that's going into, what is this life really about? What really juices me? What makes me come alive? What would I love to create? And those are the sort of questions that I started to ask myself along this journey. And when I got in alignment with what I'm meant to be doing on this earth, what makes me come alive, then I started to get more and more power and more understanding that the physical doesn't define me. It's what this world is created by consciousness, and that consciousness is created by our thoughts. And so to align yourself with your higher power, or that power that's breathing us, it doesn't matter what you call it. Some people call it God, some people call it universe, some people call it love or the higher self. Once you're in alignment, all of a sudden you start to get this awareness of, wow, this is an amazing experience. I'm just a human, a spiritual being having a human experience, and I've got a born date and I've got a death date. I just don't know when my death date is, right? So I might as well make the bloody most of it in between. And that's kind of where my journey's kind of led me. And it was definitely because I asked those different questions of, what is this about? What am I meant to create? And listening to two energies inside of me. And one of them was longing and the other one was discontent. I had lots of discontent with sitting in a wheelchair, and I had longing to create and help people. When I started to ask the question of what I love, listening to those two energies, I started to find my path in life.
How much of your awareness have you found through self-exploration, maybe meditation, or what else do you do aside from meditation to align yourself? And second part to that question is, who are the most powerful teachers that you've come across in your life so far?
Wow, there's lots of teachers, including some really close to me. The first question, breath. We've got a lot of human beings have forgotten how to breathe properly. And it's through the nose, right down into the pit of the stomach. If you're a singer, you know exactly what I mean, right? Because you have to breathe a certain way with your diaphragm that gets you connected to the song. Well, our breath is that first connection to our higher power. And so I often remind myself just to breathe and connect and blow out through a straw on the out, just to really calm my nervous system and relax and bring me to that present moment during my day. I probably have done it a couple of times on the interview, when so far in this process. It's really important to me to just connect through my breath. The second part of the question, mate, there's been Deepak Chopra, there's been Tony Robbins, Dean Graciosis, but my mentor in this work has been Mary Morrissey. She's affiliated or very close friends to Bob Proctor. So Mary is the founder of the Brave Thinking Institute, and she is the owner as well of that with her lovely children. And so they've all had big parts in growing my awareness and in this work. But then you can take my youngest son, who's 12. I think anybody can be our biggest teachers. Our children are great teachers, because they reflect back to us the parts in us that we don't like. Because they got those parts from somewhere, right? And
right.
It's normally a reflection of ourselves. So often we have that behavior that we don't like in our children, and that is brilliant, because it's showing us that we have got something to work on.
And kids, they don't hold back, they haven't learned, and it's not a skill. It's really a disadvantage of the social etiquette and politeness of those silences or white lies of just being polite. They don't have that. They're completely authentic to who they are, and they're going to look at you and say, I don't like that, and this is why. Or, I think you're wonderful and you're my hero, Dad, and this is why. And I agree with you. Children are wonderful teachers. And so, okay. All right. So let me bring myself back to center, because there are so many things that I want to ask about. How about we talk about your work with CHB Swim for Lives, that nonprofit? Tell me about that. When did that begin?
It began about 6 years ago now, I think. So it might be even 7. My kids, my younger two, I've got 4 kids now, and the youngest one's 12 now. But when he was sort of a little fella, and his sister was probably around the age of 10, 11, I went to the school swimming sports, and they do it in the big pool in the local community pool. And of course, they've got a deep end, which is over the kid's head. And a lot of the 11 and 12-year-olds were terrified of the deep water. And for us in New Zealand here, being 2 big islands, we're surrounded by water. We've got lakes, we've got rivers, we've got so many opportunities where kids end up in water at summertime or wintertime, doesn't really matter. And we have a lot of drownings. So that's how it came to life. I wanted to do something about it, and I went to a couple of people that were shakers in our community in this area, and we formed a committee, and then we did a Swim for Lives swimathon where we got the swimmers raising money per length. And that money then went back into the schools to help with deep water programs to help kids become more comfortable in deep water so they don't panic and drown. And that's how it kind of got formed. And then just a couple of years ago, the charity actually won the biggest impact on our community. So that was what you were talking about before.
Yes, and that's the place where, unfortunately, in my own writing, I got confused. So, okay. Now, if someone's watching this and they say, wow, I'd love to give, is there a website that they can go to give? Do you take in monetary donations?
Yeah, mate, there's bound to be. I haven't actually looked lately, but I would just Google CHB Swim for Lives. I see that you've got it up on the. I know there's a Facebook page, and if they do want to give, just reach out, message that page. I know there is a website. I'm not sure how well it's manned, because it's just a small community group that we have so far.
You know what? Actually, while you were speaking, I found it. So I'm going to share it to the broadcast. And the URL is sporty.co.nz/CHBSSWIM for lives. And I am going to put that into the broadcast. Let me just copy that real quick. I want to make sure that everybody has that at their fingertips so they can write it down and make sure that they have it in case anyone would like to give and help, because that's huge. How many parents and family members have reached out to you and said, oh my goodness, my niece or my son or my granddaughter drowned, and you just hate to hear that.
Well, I had a close friend myself that I went to primary school with. He was an adult, but he drowned. You know, uh, just looking for food in the sea. That's part of the culture here. So, yeah.
Wow, my good. Oh, I'm so sorry. It seems like everybody out there knows someone, a loved one. I have an uncle, a full-grown adult, and unfortunately, he drowned as well, swimming in a lake because, from what I understand, in somewhat deep water lakes, when you jump in, you can almost become um, the bubbles and everything that bubble back up. You can become disoriented to where you don't really know which way is up. My goodness. So we are on the website right now. I see you. Here's a wonderful picture of you with, let's see, we have Nikki and Joe, Michelle, Charles, and yourself, Wayne Forrest, pictured in this picture. It does say that the swimathon for 2022 has been postponed, and there is also a CHB Swim for Lives group in Facebook. If any of our viewers are Facebook users, you can go find that on Facebook. So that's a wonderful website. I'm so glad that you mentioned it. I have the URL up in the broadcast right now, so everybody can write that down. And congratulations on the award win with that. I think that's a great thing. The kids have to have a great time at the swimathon.
Well, yeah, even I've got in there and swam. We have a 10-minute challenge where you do as many lengths as you possibly can in 10 minutes. And I've done it myself. You definitely have to work out for it because if you haven't done much swimming for a while, it is definitely a struggle.
It is a real workout. I couldn't believe it when I added some swimming into my exercise routine and I did a few laps. I'm like, why am I out of breath? I'm just in water. I'm just a fish. Why is this work? And it's a wonderful workout. I want to talk about that. What are the exercises that you do that you enjoy?
Oh, fantastic. I do bands. I do a bit of weight training with my bands. I've got a hand cycle that clips onto my bike that is also battery powered, so I can alter the battery and go up hills a little bit easier. But it's fantastic. I love getting out there with my kids and doing that as well. I've done all sorts of things, a little bit of boxing. So I've done quite a bit of swimming in the past. At the moment, it's not practical, but yeah, I love creating that feeling of getting the blood pumping. It is definitely good for the soul.
It's quite amazing. If you look back, I think really in the 1990s, there were so many, gosh, what's the word for it? Like equipment isn't quite right, but I guess it would be equipment that has been in development and now it's out into the market to where people that are wheelchair bound and, it could be anything from people who have all four limbs amputated. They're still athletes. I was watching a story about a lady. She was in, I believe, the United States military. She lost both her legs, and she's on a team playing ice hockey. And it's a competitive ice hockey team. It's like there's so many things you can do that there are no limitations.
I totally agree with you. Our mind is the only thing that limits us. At the end of the day, it's what we think is a limitation.
I agree with you. You have a wonderful project that you put on film, and it is available. I believe this is YouTube, and it's entitled "Is Life Just Happening to You?" Would you mind setting this up just a little bit, and then I'd love to play it for our viewers.
Well, it's about creating the idea of thinking that we often go throughout life just letting things happen, and this is about actually designing a life and living into it, instead of just letting life default. And yeah.
All right, let's take a listen.
Is life just happening to you? Are you going through the motions, the same old, and getting the same results? We call this a life by default. Would you love to create a life by design? And would you love to know how to do that? In a minute, I'll give you a couple of tools to create a life by design. My name's Wayne, and I'm going to just tell the story of when I first came across this principle. I had created some amazing stuff. I was in a wheelchair. I had done and run my farm again, and I had done some outdoor activities that were extreme for people in wheelchairs. But I was missing something, and I was just going through the motions. And I came across this beautiful mentor of mine. Her name's Mary Morrissey. And she asked me this question. What would I love? What would I really love? Not what can I have, or not what my conditions, circumstances say I can have, or the government, or my family say I can have, or my education. But what would I truly love from my heart to create? This is how to create a life by design. Create a powerful vision of what you would truly love in your heart. Yes, sometimes it's a bit scary, because you've never done it before. Well, to help that, we push it out 3 years. We create a vision of the now, right now, in present language, but in the future, 3 years from now. Right? We speak in present tense, and we don't worry about how we're going to get to the vision. We just worry about the step right in front of us. And you'd be surprised. You can use this powerful question for all areas of your life. Your health, relationships, those, even what you would love to create for society going forward and community. For me, my vision is kindness and unity, as many of you already know and have joined the Facebook group. So if that resonates with you, please join the group, because more collective people aiming for a vision of kindness and unity in this world is going to help us create that into the being of now. So create a powerful vision of what you truly would love in your heart. Thank you for listening. And we'll see you soon. Bye for now.
What a nice job, Wayne. That is a really, really nice job and very powerful message. And so when Mary Morrissey asked you that in the very, very beginning, what would I really love? What was your first answer?
It was, at first it took a while, to be clear. I always had a background in farming, so agriculture, being outside, that kind of thing. But it soon bubbled up that I loved helping people, and always have in some form. And that's what sort of bubbled up. It came to me that I really love this work. I love creating or helping people create that vision and then step into it.
So through the project of kindness and unity, do you coach people? Do you give them daily or weekly podcasts? What are you working to do together through kindness and unity?
Well, I want to create a world movement of exactly that, kindness and unity. And so in the group, I help people with their awareness. I do lives, helping people create that gratitude for their own life and that kindness for their own life as well. Because if we don't work on ourselves and change ourselves, then we're not going to change the world. We first have to take responsibility for this, me, right? And so that's, I coach, I teach, I give little tips. I also find the odd thing on the internet that really resonates with this idea and movement. I'll post in that group as well. But I try to go live at least 3-4 times a week in that group as well.
Now, you said gratitude. You said that the very powerful word that I think with a lot of people, they hear gratitude. You know, we have signs that say grateful. We have pillows that say grateful. It has become very mainstream to all these different methods of mindfulness. But for the people that hear grateful and think thankful, how important is it to really even set a reminder every day in your calendar to say stop and meditate within your own gratitude?
Well, there's a couple of reasons, and I suppose, do you mind if I go through the steps,
Of course, yes,
Elizabeth?
please.
The first one is that we have to realize that there is a results formula, okay? And it starts with our thoughts. Our thoughts create feelings, right? Those feelings create emotions in our body. And if we're feeling a high vibration or a positive emotion, we're going to take a totally different step than if we're feeling down, depressed, angry, sad, or any of those, right? So those then actions create our results, right? This is the law of cause and effect. And so we have to understand that's how our brain's wired, and that's how we're creating everything. And to give you an example of this, right? If people can see me, I've got things on the wall and on the shelves, on my desk. If you look at everything around you, it's been created twice, right? Someone's thought up of that certificate many, many years ago. It's been altered since by people thinking about how they could improve it. But it was thought up, it was a thought. And then someone's taken action on that thought and created a thing, right? So everything around us has been created in the same process. Thought, feelings, creating by action, creating our results. And that's how we create in this world. And if you take the collective of what's happening in the world at the moment, everyone is thinking about maybe a pandemic or what the government's doing or what are they over there doing. So we're focusing on, my view, the wrong thing. We want to focus on what we want to create in the world, because if we do that, we're going to create and hopefully step into ideas and start taking action steps towards that, right? And before we know it, we've created kindness and unity in the world. That's my vision.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And the other part of this, gratitude, right? If you had your vision, just bring to mind what you would love for a minute, Elizabeth, right? That thing that you're thinking of that you would love, maybe it's in your relationship, maybe it's your health or whatever, right? If that worked out, how would you feel?
Bliss. It's absolute joy.
Beautiful, right? That is the vibration of, I like to say, the gods, right? And so gratitude is blissful, is joy, right? So it's no good just saying, oh, I'm grateful for this if you're not feeling it. Everything's about the vibration. It's about the feeling. That is the language of the gods, is the vibration. So when you understand that, okay, this is how we create by our thoughts, and this is what I'm feeling, often they are on negative circumstances or things. It would be very easy for me to concentrate on me being a tetraplegic or quadriplegic, right? And having that feeling. But if I come from the vision of what I want to create and it worked out, oh man, I'm going to be blissful. I love that word, blissful, right? And so once we understand that, that is creation, that is what life is trying to seek through us, is a more expanded world, more conscious world of who we truly are, and that's spiritual beings, creating a physical form of a life. So when we bring that gratitude in, it really does create a movement of whatever that power is to become what we desire and love.
I absolutely adore everything that you said there, because it makes so much sense to pull together everything that we just watched. That, you know, you're not just living. It all has a purpose and a point and is born by a thought. And what you said, everything has been created twice. It was a thought and then created, and the thought created a thing. Even within creation, as we think of it, as coming together as man and woman, and they have a child. There was a thought with action that then created a person. It's absolute genius. Where do you see yourself going? And I know you're creating the world movement of kindness and unity. And I think that's absolutely beautiful, especially in today's time right now, where I do believe we need more of it. And there's power in numbers. There's power in thought of positivity, right? Where do you see yourself in 5 years' time?
No, beautiful question. On Oprah's show.
Good, yes, I see it.
with a book. I'm just starting to put some of this down on paper. So, yeah, I'd love. I am on Oprah's show with my new book, and yeah, I've created a movement that's helping people create more of that blissfulness in their own lives, right?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, the book is going to also help in that process. So yeah, it's creating communities, it's creating a kind, unified, blissful community that can actually see and take other point of views and perceptions and bring that together as a lovely melting pot of ideas and belief systems that is not judged. It's just creating and bubbling up more kindness and unity in the world.
Mm-hmm. So I have a question for you. I really don't talk about religion or politics too deeply on the show because it's not about that. But I do have a question. Being from the United States myself, and you're in New Zealand, is there any part of this world that feels like we can focus on the forward motion of kindness and unity and coming together as a community, building crops together and life and formation of positivity, and not be affected by what's happening today in the world with the turmoil that's out there that at least we hear here in America and a lot of our news cycles? Are you hearing things? Is it as much of a hardcore focus in New Zealand?
Oh, big time. I would say that our media streams are very similar. There's a lot of focus on that fear and struggle and whatever pandemic. We won't go into it too much, but there's a lot of streaming on that and creating that energy, and I love it because it's perfect. I know that's going to wind a few people up, right? But it's actually perfect because it's creating enough discomfort and struggle in people's lives that they want to change, they want to create. And this isn't going to change unless we change ourselves. So it has to be enough struggle within us to actually go, okay, what would I love? What would I really love? I want a different world. I want to create something different than what is happening. So I think, it's perfect the way it is, and I'm not taking away anything from the people who've lost their lives or the things that have happened in the world that people really are in a bad way. I'm not taking that away. I'm just saying that we can use that. We can't do anything about the past, but we can really use that to create what we would love to see in the future.
That just resonates so deeply with me through the expression of growth hurts. Growth is painful. If you don't feel some type of discomfort, you're not growing.
Well, you take the word blissful, right?
Mm-hmm.
You don't know what blissful is unless you've really had the extreme of the opposite.
Yeah.
We need this world has polarities, right? It's got the opposite. There's light there during the day, there's dark at night. We have opposites in this experience. So to have blissfulness, we often need the struggle. We need the dark night, as my lovely mentor would say, right? We have to face up to that dark night and then shine the light on that dark night. We've all got a dark night inside of ourselves. It's part of the experience. It's part of our curriculum as a spiritual being having a human experience.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So if someone was watching this and they said, you know what, I'd really like to connect with Wayne and possibly see if he's available for coaching, how could they get in touch with you?
Yeah, my best way is the email, Wayne Forrest, so WayneForrest. I love the joke, running Wayne Forrest, run Forrest run, then coaching, COACHING@gmail.com.
Okay, I've typed that up. So we do have a viewer, Ken, is saying, thank you, Wayne. You are a true inspiration. He's enjoyed the show this evening, and so have I. And again, that is WayneForrestCoaching@gmail.com. As well as earlier in the broadcast, we were talking about the swim. So it's CHB Swim for Lives organization and how you can follow them, as well as the Facebook group for them. And I mean, the list goes on and on and on, Wayne, right? And Kindness and Unity, go onto Facebook and follow Kindness and Unity. And you have a book coming out very soon, so we're definitely going to be watching your moves and what's coming, and everything that you have created, I think is absolutely gorgeous. And what you're pushing out to 3 years and committing to today, it was such a great message. So everybody, make sure that you look up all the videos from Wayne Forrest, and his TEDx is phenomenal. I can't thank you enough. It's really been a pleasure to have you on the show this evening.
Oh, thank you for having me. And it's been a pleasure having this interview with you, Elizabeth. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. Well, hold on just a moment and I will say goodbye to you properly. I'm just going to sign off, so I'll be right with you. Everybody, that was a wonderful show. Thank you so much for watching and interacting, and you lovely comments this evening, which I wouldn't expect any other than absolute loveliness from all of you, because you are all wonderful and we are blessed. You are blessed. Mwah. I love you. And stay tuned. I will be back with you tomorrow morning and with so many more wonderful